She tells them no surgery, no surgery. Work it out. Work it out. We have good memory, that's for sure.
The girls who started to it's more the cold, not the flu. Search committee. She'll play the role of the grandma and the picture and play the fashion to kind of help out a little bit.
I walked over there to talk to your wife and you walked this way. It's just how it goes. So he's living right now. No, that's he's living in Japan. He's on the road. Well, we play. We were at I tried this. And the problem too, because it's like the nurse club, nurse USA, and nurse national, the national. They're like, they're saying, and then they moved that. Well, there's and those things I did Saturday, Sunday, and there was really close.
Oh, yeah. Bear claws. Right next to they came yesterday. There's only one more. They do have Korea. You want to start with that? Great. Fantastic. Friends, there we go. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments we are going to begin the funeral services for Carole G. Paulsen. If you have a cell phone or a pager, I would ask for you to please take a moment to turn it off or make sure that it's placed in the silent mode. Again, we would invite everyone to please find a seat. Officiating today's services will be Cantor Howard Friedland from the Jewish Reconstructionist Congregation in Evanston. And in a moment, as we begin the service, the cantor will approach the family and lead them in the tradition of Kriya.
Christian Communion standing. So everyone, welcome. Thank you for being here to support the family. We start with the tradition of kriya, which is a tearing or rending of the garment. We're told that when our ancestor Jacob heard the supposed news of his son's Joseph's death, he was so overcome with grief that he tore his cloak. And so today, some people still tear a part of a suit or a dress or a shirt. Today we tear a ribbon. And it shows everyone who comes in contact with you that there's a tear in your heart. And God willing, over the next days and weeks and months of the mourning period, you'll come back to what is a normal life. There'll still be a scab there, but it will begin to heal. We say this prayer, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam dayan ha'emet. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, the true judge. Adonai natan, v'Adonai lakach, v'hi shem Adonai nevarach. God has given, God has taken away. Blessed be God's name. So we wear this during the months of during the week of Shiva. This week, somewhere for the month of Shloshim, the 30 days following, and somewhere beyond. As long as it has meaning for you, and I wish both of you much love and strength in the months to come. And so we've come together as family and as community to express our sacred sorrow. We have come together to draw strength from one another and from the ultimate source of all strength. We've come together to affirm comfort and blessing in the face of deepest loss. And we have come together to bid farewell to Carole Paulsen. We share a common prayer that the source of healing sustain those of you who grieve. May those wounded with loss be blessed with love and compassion. We pray that the journey that lies ahead lead from darkness to light. As it is written, thus says the source of hope, I will respond to your yearning. When you call out to me in the night, I will answer. I will be with you even in the darkest of places. I will give you strength. I will nourish you, and you shall know protection beneath the shelter of my wings. And we express condolences to Carole's children, to Sheila and David Gillick, to David and Carolyn Ernst, to her grandchildren, Matthew and Adam and Alexis Gillick, to Chloe and Elise Ernst, to her great-grandchildren, Samuel and Devin. And indeed, to all of you who are here, whether you're related by blood or not, does not matter. When you've lost someone who's close to you, who was a big part of your life, you're grieving as well. And so my condolences to all of you here. We pray for wholeness and compassion in the days to come. And let us say, Amen. The 23rd Psalm. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, binot dashe yarbitzeni, arme menuchot, yenachaleni. Nafshi yishovev, yishovev, yancheni v'magle tzedek, yancheni v'magle tzedek, leman shemo. Kom kilech begets al mavet, לא ירא כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררי, נשענת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, אדוני רואי לא אחסר. And let's read together the translation of the 23rd Psalm, found in your pamphlet. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 121, Esa enai el harim, me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. My eyes look into the void. From where will my help come? My help comes from my very source, the fashioner of order and of harmony. Your guardian will catch you when you slip. Your shelter will protect you while you sleep. Your night will not last forever, for your protector will surely bring back the sun in the morning. Your source will watch over you at all times. And as you came into this world, swaddled in loving embrace, so shall you leave. From Kohelet, the book of Ecclesiastes. Nor holech v'dor ba, v'ha'aretz לעולם עומדת, ויזרח השמש ובא השמש, ואל מקומו שואף, זורח הוא שם. הולך אל דרום, וסובב אל צפון, סובב, סובב הולך הרוח, ועל סביבותיו שב הרוח. כל הנחלים הולכים אל הים, והים איננו מלא אל מקום שהנחלים הולכים שם, הם שבים ללכת. A generation goes, a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises, the sun sets, and glides back to where it rises again. Southward blowing, turning northward, ever turning, blows the wind. On its rounds the wind returns. All streams flow into the sea, but the sea is never full. To the place from which they flow, there they flow back again. And finally, this entry from Rabbi Alvin Fine. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey. From childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness and back, we pray, to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage. So every life is sacred, and we all make the pilgrimage. We all write, I like to believe, our own Torah scroll. The Torah is the sacred book of the Jewish people, and it is some parts history, some parts myth, some parts taken from other cultures. Some of it makes no sense at all. Some of it makes complete sense and is relevant even today. The characters in it are not much different than we are. From the best characters of Torah, we learn how to live a meritorious life. And from those who are the worst characters in the Torah, we learn how not to live. And it would not be a surprise to anyone that often those two characters are found in one person, as we all are, and with all of our imperfections, trying to do the best we can here on earth, and asking the questions that are universal. How did we get here? What is our purpose here while we're on earth? What do we leave to those who succeed us, and where do we go once we leave here? And some of those questions we can answer, and some we cannot. But we try, and with our text, and with the lives of those around us, we learn how to navigate and negotiate. And so it is that Carole wrote her Torah, and to hear it today, to hear her scroll, we'll have people who knew her intimately. So first, I'll call upon her grandson, Adam.
Sam wanted to be here. I was writing it yesterday. Here we go. So as I was trying to decide if I was even going to write a eulogy, I was at dinner last night with my Uncle David and Joan Kessel. And I was like, well, should I write a eulogy? Should I speak? And I finally decided I'm going to do it. Being that it was already 9 o'clock at night, I was like, well, how am I going to write it? Chat GPT. If anybody knows what that is, it's an AI that pretty much writes everything. So then I was like, well, I can't just write Chat GPT, so I used Chat Joan Kessel, which is basically like Chat GPT, but it personalizes stuff. So here we go, and yes, I put in my own flavor. As we gather here to honor the life of Carole Paulsen, please let us remember that all the good times we had. At 86 years old, Carole had a profound love for her family. Her decision to relocate to Arizona was not a geographical move, but rather a heartfelt choice to be close to her great-grandchildren, whom she cherished with unwavering affection. On a personal note, having my grandma moving to Arizona meant the world to me. She got to know and love my children and randomly show up to my house with gifts. I do remember one time she called me and said, Adam, I don't know where I'm at. Thank God somebody invented GPS trackers. Alexis and I had to go find her. Good thing she was only 1 block away this time. Once we tracked her to a really rough neighborhood because she was trying to go to Batteries Plus. The kicker, Batteries Plus is literally on the corner. not in the ghetto 20 miles away. Taking care of my grandma during her time with us in Arizona was a pleasure. We got to spend many times going to Outback, Florentino's, and every other restaurant because she really never wanted to cook. When Alexis and I started taking care of her in Arizona, my grandmother and I got very close. I learned so much about her life and just having a good time together. She wanted nothing more but to love on Sam and Devin. I wouldn't change that for the world. Carole's journey alongside her husband Bob was a testament to their love. As an accountant by profession, she infused precision in her work and warmth into her relationships. Her adventurous spirit led her to exploring the world, creating memories that echo through the generations. One unique aspect of Carole's life was her straightforwardness. She embraced her original, slender frame, recognizing that she always needed to be skinny. Yet, this characteristic never overshadowed her love for others. At Weight Watchers meetings, she approached weight discussions with a mix of honesty and humor, even candidly sharing her perspective on weight management. But I'll let David tell that story. While her words may be indirect, they were always tempered with genuine care and concern. As a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, Carole's impact was immeasurable. Her legacy lies not only in her professional achievements but her travel adventures, but in the love she showed upon her family. Today, we celebrate the life well lived, marked by love, laughter, and the enduring bonds she created. May her memory be continued to inspire us to embrace life's journeys with open hearts and unwavering love. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adam. And next we'll hear from Carole's granddaughter, Chloe.
Hello, I've been asked to read a poem. It's called The Dash. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend, who referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke of the following date with tears, but he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth, and now only those who loved them know what much the line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this for long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real and always try to understand the way other people feel. And be less quick to anger and show appreciation more and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this little special dash might only last a while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things and how you spent your dash? Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe. And next we'll hear from family friend Joan Kessel.
Let me see if I can get this close enough since I'm a little bit height impaired here. I'm going to be reading two poems that Sheila wrote, but first I'd like to tell you a quick story about Carole that came to mind a minute ago, and I've told Sheila this before. Mirror neurons are in our brain, and that's how we learn things, and we remember things, and people show us how to behave. And it's always a restaurant story with Carole. I met Sheila in elementary school at Camp Shy, but I went to the academy, and I was on Devon Avenue, and Sheila was there and her mom was there. It was a Chinese restaurant, and this was the first time, other than my parents, I'm in high school, an adult paid for my dinner at a restaurant. And I pulled out my wallet. I was saying, no, I got this. I remember it was like under $10, but that to me at that time with my budget was significant. But that mirror neuron stayed with me for many years. That memory of Carole making sure that my son's friends certainly didn't pay for their meals. So that was my, thank you, Carole. These two poems are from Sheila. And the expectation is that I'll be able to get through them better than she would, even though she wrote them. When you thought I wasn't looking. When you thought I wasn't looking, you hung my first painting on the refrigerator, and I wanted to paint another. When you thought I wasn't looking, you fed the stray animals I brought home, and I learned it was good to be kind to animals. When you thought I wasn't looking, you baked a cake for just me for my birthday, and I learned the little things are very special. When you thought I wasn't looking, you said a prayer at Papa Maury's grave, and I believe there was a God to whom I could believe in and talk to. When you thought I wasn't looking, you kissed me goodnight when you thought I was sleeping, and I knew I was loved. When you thought I wasn't looking, I saw tears come out of your eyes the first night I was burned, January 28th, 1971. And I learned sometimes things could hurt, but that it's all right to cry. I was calculating a moment ago, that was almost 52 years ago. Two more days. When you thought I wasn't looking, I watched you have an endless concern for us. I learned to feel protected and secure with myself. When you thought I wasn't looking, I watched you work hard to get your college degree. At that time, I thought you were too old to get a degree. And I learned to rely on myself, and I also learned that you can achieve anything if you set your mind to it. When you thought I wasn't looking, after being so unhappy in love, you learned to love. Hope, faith, and you learned to love again. You learned to have love, hope, and faith, and you learned to love again. I learned assertiveness, self-esteem, and I also deserved to be loved. When you thought I wasn't looking, I watched you cultivate a few close and special friendships. I learned to trust, support, be dependable, loyal, and to be caring. When you thought I wasn't looking, I looked at you and wanted to say thank you for all the things I saw when you thought I wasn't looking. I wish I could give you the world, but I wouldn't want to re-gift what you'd already given to me. Wishing you the happiest of birthdays, all of my love and gratitude for what you have given to all of us, Mom. This next letter Sheila wrote for Carole's birthday, which was her 86th birthday, Sunday, the 14th of January. I will do my best to change the pronouns to Sheila versus I, but I may slip through this. I've read it once. It's like a business letter. R.E., reason for writing. A letter to my mom. When I have something on my mind, I just can't sleep very well. So for the past few nights, Sheila couldn't sleep, and just as she had all these thoughts floating in her head, she decided to write her mother a letter for her birthday. It would allow Sheila to take the time to just tell her all her thoughts and feelings, and many things that she not said, although you probably said them even though you didn't know you said them. Dear Mom, thank you for always attempting to keep me happy, safe and protected, as well as nourished. I always didn't make it easy. Thank you for your kindness, caring, and immeasurable patience. Thank you for looking out for me even when I didn't need it. Thank you for letting me fall when I had to learn my own mistakes and to recover from them. It wasn't until I had children that she finally figured out that Carole was always there to pick up Sheila. Thank you, Mom, for always being there, for waiting and worrying, for the lectures and the endless concerns. Thank you for laughing with me, even though I knew at times you were also laughing at me. We all did that occasionally, dear, with you and at you. Thank you for the limitless hugs, love, bond, and Band-Aids. Thank you for actually driving down to the 1st Police District to bail me out of jail. How many years ago? Thank you for the love, support, and everything I receive from you every day. Thank you, Mom, for keeping me warm, keeping me calm, and keeping me sane. Whoops, I almost slipped on that one, didn't I? Even though Sheila pushed Carole to the limits. Thank you for listening when I needed a shoulder to cry on. Thank you for understanding there were times which I would hate you. I also think it was your fault because you had me. No, any parent who hasn't heard that from their kid hasn't done anything right. Thank you for continuously forgiving me in the end. Thank you for supporting me, encouraging me, for believing in me, and for letting me know you never expected me to be anything but the best I could be. Whether it was a diet, education, friends, or children, you were always there. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for teaching me to be honest, courteous, appreciative, caring, and loving. Thank you for teaching me to see the best in people, to be diplomatic in the face of adversity. That one I think you learned on your own. Mom, thank you for all the support and your invaluable life lessons. Thank you for throughout my life, you have showered me with love. So rest assured, if times get tough, I know I can overcome any obstacle with your love, which is always in my heart. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have become the person I am today. Thank you for being the role model, the mom, and an amazing friend, and most important, happy birthday, which was last Sunday. Sheila, those were beautiful. Thank you for honoring me with the ability to read those for you.
Joan, thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from Carole's son, David.
Oh, there's one up here already. Good. Well, let me start by saying, Sheila, you don't have to tell me now, but I'd really like to know what you had to be bailed out for. I'm the younger brother, obviously. I wasn't privy to those secrets. I knew you were doing some things. I just want to know what you got caught for. That's a good one. I was talking to my daughters. They're taking English. Chloe and Elise, and we were talking about parables, which I had, of course, look up or learn from them that it's basically a short story with a moral. And it got me thinking to something I heard a long time ago. And I might have discussed it at Bob, her second husband's funeral, but I just want to share because I think it's appropriate. It's a story of an elephant and blind men, and it's been told in different versions in different cultures. But, you know, in short, it's a group of blind men learned that an elephant was in town, and they went to investigate. And each blind man touched a different part of the elephant. One blind man touched the elephant's leg and said, oh, it's like a tree. And the other touched the ear, it's like a fan. One touched the tail, it's like a rope. Goes on and on. In some cultures, the blind men start a fight over what it really is. I like the version where a sighted man came and said, you're all a little bit right, but what you have to do is piece it all together. And the moral is, we see people and we have our observations and truths, but that may not be the whole truth. You want to put it all together. So I can only offer some of my observations. And I look forward to hearing from some of you about your observations. So one of the things I started thinking about as a child, one of my favorite memories, is when I was 9 years old. Mom let me stay home and watch. See, I knew this was going to be tough. Mom let me stay home to watch Ernie Banks hit his 500th home run. I'm sorry, I don't know why that gets me, but I didn't have to go to school for 2 days. You know what, Mom does that, stay home and watch Ernie Banks, but I love the Cubs. And, you know, it was just wonderful. I'm a black and white TV. They had those when I was 9 years old. You remember? Yeah, no, you're too young. You're too young. She let me, she let me feed our dog the food I didn't like under the table. She knew. Care, that's why I don't like peas. I don't know why the dog liked peas, but the dog liked peas. Spunky. Mom divorced my dad when we were 13, when I was 13. And, Mom had to raise us in the 70s as a single mom, and, it was tough. It's tough for any single parent, but really tough in those days, which I probably didn't appreciate at the time, but I do now. And she really was devoted to the welfare of us. She made sure Sheila and I got educational opportunities, and she helped me go to the university. I remember getting regular checks from her, and I didn't realize how hard that is. I mean, that was commitment. I never had to worry about that. There was always dinner ready, and we can talk about her cooking. We'll leave that one alone, but she was a good baker. Chloe was telling me she loved her cookies. And however they got there, it didn't matter. They tasted good at the end of the day. She really was devoted to the family, and Adam sort of touched on it, but let me expand on it a little bit. Later in life, she moved to Arizona. She just picked up and came to Arizona in 2017, I think it was. She just sold her place here, bought a place in Arizona to be by Adam, Lexi, and their boys, because she wanted to be with them, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. And she did tell me to be closer to Chloe and Elise, my children as well. Not an easy thing to do when you've lived your whole life in one place, just to pick up. It does show her devotion to family, and that's really where she got a lot of her joy. She also got a lot of joy from traveling. Mom had a very interesting life. And when Sheila was telling me she was going through, she sold the house here in Northbrook. She went through, she had albums with photographs of all the trips she took. She lived a very blessed life, and her second husband Robert was a big part of that. And they went around the world. And my mom enjoyed a good meal. She enjoyed a good hotel. She was, they did things when they traveled. They didn't, they saw places and went places. And, she got a lot of joy out of sailing. I was thinking about that. Bob had a boat, had a 30, whatever it was a 30-foot sailboat, something like that. and took the boys, Sheila's boys, when they were growing up. I mean, what joy they had with that. Then it later became a cabin cruiser, and you know, they really got a lot out of life. Adam, I think, also mentioned Mom was direct. There wasn't a lot of filtering that went on. Point A to point B, and it was a straight line. Adam also mentioned the Weight Watcher story. I don't think I can add on it much, only that she was at the front desk, right, with Weight Watchers for a while, and someone came in, and Mom just said, "You're still fat," something like that. They weren't too pleased with her at Weight Watchers on that one. I'm not sure how much time she spent there after that. She loved purple, and you know, we've been talking about it with some people. She would just love that purple casket. I didn't have no idea. Credit to Adam and the Gillicks for finding that at a discount, no less. She would have loved that one too. And I also want to thank, you know, Mom did a lot on her own early days, you know, and then with Bob they did things together. And later in life, she got so much help from the Gillick family. I just want to thank, you know, my sister, her husband, her two sons, especially Adam and Lexi and their boys, who live in Arizona and Phoenix. And when Mom went out there in 2017, she had her house for a year and a half, something like that, where she was by herself. Then she got TIAs, or mini strokes, and she needed help, and she went to an assisted living. Then she had a big stroke, and she went to a nursing home. And Adam and Lexi, especially you guys, were there. And I just thank you for that. And then Sheila had the good sense and devotion to take my mom back here to Buffalo Grove for the last year and a half of her life. And that was wonderful. Also, since it was very nice, I just want to mention a couple of the nurses from the home are here, and thank them, because they're just wonderful. The way they took care of Mom, and she loved them. She mentioned that to me, and that was just very, very special. You know, what do you? Almost done. Almost there. You know, what do you want from a parent? Really, you want them to be there when you need them. She was there for me. Every graduation, she was there for us. Thank you. Love you. Sorry. Thank you. Goodbye, Mom.
Thank you, David. And now we'll hear from Carole's daughter, Sheila.
I wasn't supposed to start out crying. I just wanted to thank you all for coming. I write way too much, okay? So, today we came together not only to remember, but to celebrate the vibrant tapestry of my mom, Carole's life. Beyond her role as a wife, a mother, grandmother, and a great-grandmother, she was known for her spirited personality and uniqueness. I thought it was rather unusual to speak for your mom at a funeral, but I'd like to give you a glimpse of her personality and the love she had for family and friends, as well as thank you for coming to Chicago. Coming out in this beautiful balmy weather, or zooming online this morning. To Carole, it was her family and friends who were the most important focus of her life. She would have been just as proud to see her family as supported by their family and friends. Shortly after I sat down to write the eulogy, I concluded this was not going to be an easy task, and it was rather daunting. I realized that the Carole which I knew and loved was different in the context than those of you who are lifelong friends or neighbors or family members, but I'll try to represent the shared feelings of love and devotion and admiration I had toward my mom. In today's standards, Carole got married very early, 20 years old, and the first child at the age of 21. Wow. Okay. As far back as I can remember, which these days isn't too long, my mom wanted not only to be a good mom, but my friend. She succeeded at both, although it took me a long time to realize it. I did not realize what she had to endure being a single parent or raising two totally different children. After I had my own, that's when I began to realize it. I would love to tell you I never fought with my brother or my parents, but that would definitely not be true. I would love to tell you that I never caused any trouble or got into any trouble, but that simply wasn't true either. What I can tell you is my mom stopped long enough to get the whole story regarding any situation I got myself into. She became my biggest supporter and my fiercest defender. She would do anything to protect her children. My mom never had her own vision for who I should be. Instead, she was encouraging me to be my own person. She allowed me to fail, and I did that fairly well. But she was always there to stand by me or pick me up if I needed help. This is definitely advice which I followed with my own sons, and I'm proud of each of them for finding their own interests and passions. I know my mom, Carole, was very proud of them. She was so proud of each of us, as we are diverse as two children could be. David was the smart, brainy, athletic, tall, thin child who rarely got into any trouble at all, and I was not.
I didn't get caught.
Yeah, right. That's why you were the brainy child. Yet she stood beside both of us. For David, it was cheering him on a basketball game or a baseball game or watching him excel in school. For me, she definitely showed up every time the principal called to pick me up, or if I had an appointment I had to go to. School took me a little longer to enjoy, much more than my mom or David. The idea of sports and exercise in my world just hasn't really caught on. My mom was a great role model. She was young when she was divorced and raising two children on her own, which was incredibly difficult. She was determined to not only better herself, but to give us a better life. She returned to school at 38 to finish her college degree and became an accountant. Now I've come to realize that as a single mom, that was no easy task. What she did give us was the tools, the skill, a guide, and a roadmap of how to raise our own children. We should cherish those guidelines as they served her well. She raised two wonderful children. She lived long enough to watch 5 exceptional grandchildren, Matt, Adam, Alexis, Elise, and Chloe, begin their lives, and had an extreme pleasure of knowing, holding, and playing with great-grandchildren, Sam and Devin. I began to contemplate how nice how a nice young Jewish woman had been taken care of her whole life by her parents could come out to be this superwoman. I think the problem with superwomen is we just assume that they know how extraordinary their superpowers are, so we forget to voice them out loud. When I was focusing on examples of Carole's superpowers, the words which came to mind: independent, determined, courageous, considerate, not always, sensitive, integrity, dignity, whimsy, and indeed the word life itself. For few people I have ever known lived life as full as Carole did. It was not until her children were raised that she was fortunate enough to meet and fall in love with Bob Paulsen Jr. Papa Bob, as he was affectionately known, gave my mom a life most people only dream of. She was a princess because he put her on the pedestal. She quit work, moved into a beautiful suburb, built her dream home with lots of land, and traveled the world. The adventures and experience she was blessed to have became their passion. She was fortunate to have a few close friends. Most of them remained throughout her life. She used to tell me, you don't need hundreds of friends because you can have hundreds of acquaintances. If you are blessed enough to have a few close friends, count your blessings. Her continuous, determined support of her friends and family throughout her life was unique and admirable. I could talk for hours and provide numerous examples demonstrating her remarkable dedication. Of course, her love of family. She loved to cook, even though she wasn't very good at it. She tried hard. When I got married, she showed me how to make instant water. Take an ice cube, put it in a saucepan, and turn on the fire. Voila! Instant water. She loved to have holidays with her family, proving that if you love someone, go through their stomachs. This must have been her legacy, family tradition, as it's often copied but never duplicated. She loved her first great-grandchild, Sam, so much she picked up and moved to Arizona so she could watch him grow up. She was kvelling, a Jewish term which means bragging about, this little boy. My mom was as proud of Sam and his parents. You would think she gave birth to them. I can't imagine picking up and moving, leaving everything you've known, your dream home, changing your whole life was not an easy task at 80 years old. But she was determined to live by this new great-grandchild. It was a testament to her courage, her willingness to tackle any challenge. Some of the tools and the guide maps which come to mind to describe Carole's character is uncompromising integrity and honesty, which have proven to be among the most important guidelines for my life as an adult, professional, and personal life. Life forces us to change. Life forces us all into positions of compromise and presents challenges to our honesty and our integrity. And I observed Carole rise and meet those challenges one after another. Her core values and her commitment to friends and family. As we age, we look differently at life through different eyes. What was important 20 years ago just doesn't seem to be important now. My mom and I would talk on the phone for hours, but as she aged, and I didn't get any older, she did, she became very philosophical. She said to me, the older you get, the more you realize that the simple things in life really do make you happy. You realize what's important and of value. You realize one must not take for granted our family, friends, and our health. She told me that I should only say yes to things that bring me joy. She told me certain things about life don't make sense when you're much younger. You feel invincible, like you can do whatever you want to do and get away with it. But as you get older and have the benefit of retrospect, things begin to take on a deeper meaning. You begin to appreciate the hidden implications of your decisions and your actions. Her sense of dignity was never so tested nor well demonstrated in the final months, weeks, and days of her life. Even while she was suffering and her personality was changing, she never complained. My husband, David, and I, and Matt, were really blessed to have the ability to spend the time with her for the last 18 months. People like my brother, his wife, Caroline, his girls, Chloe and Elise, Jan, Joan and Barry, Diane and Gretchen, who meant so much to her throughout her life, were able to see her and spend time with her, and she was so appreciative of having them there. They were able to reminisce about the days gone by, which made her smile and brought joy to her life. She made new acquaintances and friends at the Belmont. I truly feel blessed to have Anna, Vanessa, Nori care for my mom for the last 18 months. They would kibitz. They didn't even know what kibitz was. And they kibitzed with her. And they loved her as if it was their own mom. While I was not there, she just loved them. And that I'm extremely grateful for. Finally, and perhaps the key to her happiness, was her whimsical approach to life. She was always in pursuit of another experience, a little new adventure. When she was young, she loved traveling, and she had some phenomenal experiences with Bob. Traveling held a special allure, a symbol of freedom, adventure, and a joy of exploration. From the open road to the scenic landscapes, she cherished the experiences shared on those journeys. Hawaii, with its enchanting beauty and tranquility, was a destination close to her heart. The memories created in those idyllic landscapes became a source of solace and happiness for her. When she retired, shopping on the internet and definitely on QVC, as well as getting those bargains and even cooking, were not just mundane tasks for her, but they were expressions of creativity and love. Whether it was finding that perfect item on the internet or knitting the ideal item, she found joy in the details. As a relative and a friend, Carole had an extraordinary ability to make each of us feel stronger and more confident in our own identity, giving us our own sense of independence and mental toughness, which, speaking for myself, has been an asset in so many aspects of my life. We are all a product of our parents, our grandparents, and very special people who come into our lives. We can learn from everyone if we just take the time to listen. I feel I was truly blessed to have Carole as my mom and my friend. Sometimes I sit back and I reflect on all the memories and life lessons and roadmaps. I realize she gave me so much and taught me so much throughout my life. She taught me how to be loved and to love, how to open my heart. I remember as a very young girl asking my mama, how will I know when I meet the right guy? Not really understanding the answer at the time, she said, bring him home and I'll tell you. I said, well, okay. I hope to show my family and my friends the same respect and love which my mom showed me wholeheartedly. Carole had a character of the highest caliber, who represented sensitivity and consideration towards all people, as well as an extraordinarily lively spirit which embraced the quirks of joys of love. Her legacy inspired us to appreciate the small pleasures, offer unsolicited love, and embark on our own journeys of discovery. Rest in peace, Mom. Your love and uniqueness will forever echo in the stories we share and the memories we hold in our hearts forever. Thank you.
Sheila, thank you very much. And thank you, everyone who spoke. It's true what you said, Sheila. We are all products of our parents and grandparents and all the people who are in our lives. And it's a great opportunity I have to be in the window of other people's lives and to always learn something about how to live my own, as I did today. This is a lovely atmosphere today. It seems like we're at your dining room table. It really does. The informality of it and the gemütlichkeit, everyone is so gracious and grateful to everyone else who is here. And the love that you had for Carole is easily seen by me, and obviously the love that she had for you, for all of you who are here. This is also different because I've never attended with the color purple before the casket. Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. And so I can only add saying, Carole, of course, you all know her and loved her. She was born January 14th, 1938. She grew up on the West Side, went to Marshall High School. She went to the University of Illinois in Champaign, where she met her first husband. They were married at 20, of course. She went back to school at age 38, which is something that, people do more today. They start a second career, they go and study something. But still isn't that easy today, and it certainly was not easy then. And it's not easy when you're trying to raise a family by yourself. She met Bob, who became the love of her life, and they traveled and did great things together. I have to say that it's enough to come here today and pay our respects and memorialize Carole, but better that we should come and do that and then leave these doors having changed in some way because of what we heard about her or what we know about her. And so I'll only say this from my observation, to love fiercely, to be a fierce advocate for your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, and to really know them and to listen to them. It's a great blessing and a great advantage to grow up with a parent who loves you unconditionally. That's the best gift you can get and the best advantage you can get, more than money, more than education, more than anything else, is someone who loves you fiercely and unconditionally, and that's what Carole did. Someone who really shows up for all those occasions, both the important and the ball game and something that's seemingly unimportant. But it is important. All those things are important. And I love the fact that Carole had a few friends, not a gaggle of people, but a few friends whom she loved fiercely. We don't need to be liked by 14,000 people that we don't know. We just need to be liked and loved by those whom we do know and those whom we love. And that's what I take away from Carole's life. David, I have to say, when our younger child, our son, entered third grade, we asked the teacher, being eager parents, wanting him to have the leg up, what do we do to ensure he has a great education? And I remember his teacher, Mr. Riskin, who became a good friend of ours after that, said, skip a day from school, get on the L, and go see the Cubs play baseball. And it's true. It's true. And that Carole let you watch such a great event, right? You learn from that too. And you learn what things are important, that those things, again, that you're seemingly unimportant are hugely, hugely important, in different ways to teach our children. Mostly, as you've all said, by the example. So that's what I'll take from Carole's life. It's said in our tradition that we live on in the memories of those who succeed us, those who are here. And I don't think that's just lip service. I think it's true. The smell of someone's cologne or a sweater that they wore or a favorite color that they had or the way they embraced you, all those things you have forever. And when you have those things, then Carole lives in that way. So rest in peace, Carole. Rest in peace. I'll ask you now, as you're able, to please rise for Malei Rachamim, the memorial prayer. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hametzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, B'ma'alot Kedoshim U'Tehorim, כזוהר רקיע מזהירים את נשמת כלבת משה שהלכה לעולמו. אנא בעל הרחמים הסתירה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור ביצרה חיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו, ותנוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen. God, filled with compassion, whose loving presence ever surrounds us, bring final rest to the soul of Carole Paulsen, who has returned to her source. May the memory of her life shine forth like the brilliance of the skies above as it brightens our own lives even now. May you, who are the source of all compassion, shelter her beneath the protection of your wings and bind her soul among the living, that she may rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated.
Thank you. Friends, this concludes the services here at the chapel. The interment and burial service will continue at Memorial Park Cemetery in Skokie. For those of you traveling with us to the cemetery in the funeral procession, please keep the following safety precautions in mind. Please make sure that your bright headlights and your four-way hazard flashers are on at all times. Please be sure to obtain an orange funeral safety sticker for your windshield, and we will be providing several of the cars in the procession with a magnetic orange flag to be placed on top of your car. Please travel as close as safety permits to the car in front of you to avoid any gaps in our procession. And for your own safety and security, I would suggest not speaking or texting while driving to the cemetery in the funeral procession. Following the interment, the family will be together at the Gillick residence at 1131 Twisted Oak Lane here in Buffalo Grove. Following their return from the cemetery until this evening, continuing on Saturday evening and Sunday after 2 through the evening. The family has also requested that any memorial contributions in Carole's memory to the American Heart Association or to the charity of your choice. That information is available in the service folder that you should have received. If you did not receive one when you came in, we do have those for you as you leave. And for those of you joining us online, all of that information can be found on our website. At this time, I would ask everyone to please rise and stand in place. And for those of you who've been asked by the family to serve as pallbearers, to please come forward to my left to escort the casket as we escort the family, the casket, and the cantor from the chapel.
I was waiting.
This would be a good time to do it before we drive out. Thank you. If you need to use the washroom, there is a washroom at the rear of the chapel. And for those of you joining us in procession to the cemetery, please do make your way to your cars as soon as possible because we do need to be on our way. Right? Oh, of course. Oh, you're actually going to be